So, can Andy Rouse get into the first corner before Karl Jones? It looks as though the answer is no. Karl Jones leads, Mike Newman second. And now we're with Jerry Marney. He's been passed, and there's Mike. Andy Rouse moves up into second position behind Karl Jones.
Starting or pushing?
Yes, mate, push, it doesn't start.
Push, does not?
It hasn't been started for 5 years.
Are you pushing? Hello fellas, welcome back. I've came to see Paul, bought a new car. Just getting it made?
Another one.
Another one?
Yeah, what have I had it? Just over a week.
Just over a week?
Yeah.
So you're going to restore this one, aren't you? It is original, but it's got some,
Yeah.
what would you say, alterations? Someone's done bits to it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's 30 odd year old now,
Aye.
so these cars have been changed over years, but I tried to buy this car probably 5 years ago.
Did you?
I know.
Was it for sale 5 years ago?
Yeah. But the guy, a lovely guy, but I thought he was a bit of a messer, to be honest. But now I've got to know him, he didn't want to part with it. Mm-hmm. He had to sell it, but he didn't want to sell it.
5 years ago he had to part with it?
He had his daughter, I believe, was quite poorly.
Right.
And obviously we have a national health service, don't we? They don't over there.
Oh, was it in America? Australia?
Italy.
Italy. Right.
So obviously he had to pay for it himself.
So he was after some money for medical bills?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. So I was told. Anyway, I tried to buy it and the deal just never happened. And then I tried a couple of years after that and it never happened again. So I sort of gave up on it really. But I specifically wanted this car really because I'm good friends with Karl Jones who drove it in British Touring Cars in period. So it was just great to get the car back and I wanted to see Karl drive it again, you see. And I think why I wanted to see him drive it so much was this car in period was a very, very low spec car. As low a spec as you could possibly get. It had rally car suspension on it.
I remember reading that, rally car suspension.
Yeah, it had all rally car stuff on it, 4 stud wheels, it didn't have centre locks.
Did it?
No. He used to run second-hand tyres, never had brand new tyres. He just didn't have a big budget. And when I spoke to Karl about the car, he said, if you could remember correctly, he said they built this car and ran it the whole of 1998 for 55,000 quid, which is ridiculous.
And what would like Eggenberger's budget have been?
Well, I mean, an Eggenberger car like that Bastos car was 200,000 quid.
Just for the car?
Just to buy the car. And I would think, I mean, I dread to think how much Rudy's budgets were. There'll have been millions.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, to run, because don't forget he ran 3 cars every year.
Right.
And travelled all over the world, you know, so it will be phenomenal. I mean, he had the best drivers in the world, you know, so it'll have been ridiculous. So Karl, when you watch the 88 and 89 touring car championship, Karl was always there or thereabouts, you know, he sort
of... At the front?
Not right up front, but he was always sort of 4th, 5th, 6th and that, you know, and he did have a couple of podiums with this car, which again was incredible really. But everybody sort of knew even in period that he was running on a low budget, you know, he obviously had the Duckham sponsor, but it wasn't, you know, like the big teams had Caliber and oil companies, I think we mentioned it before, oil companies, cigarette companies. If you got one of them on board, money was no object. So Karl was always well respected for the fact that he did so well with his car. When everybody knew it wasn't a particularly brilliant spec car, he didn't have big budgets, he was on second-hand tyres, you know.
Rally suspension.
Yeah, so he did unbelievably well with the car, and it wasn't, to be quite honest, until the car came here last week, because I bought it from Italy and I got somebody who was already over in Europe to pick it up for me and bring it back. And it wasn't until I actually studied the car close up, because I've never seen it close up before, you see. And I thought, how on earth he got anywhere near front in this car? It's completely beyond me, because I spoke to Karl, because Karl didn't know I'd bought it, so I kept it a secret from him really. Anyway, he was absolutely over the moon.
Was he?
Yeah, he was absolutely over the moon. I'd bought it.
Is he going to come and see it then?
Well, he ain't going to just come and see it. He's going to race it.
Is he?
Yeah, we're going to race it. Hopefully next year. So, you know, it came and I rang him when I told him I'd got it. I said to him, Karl, how have you ever got anywhere near front? I said, because I could take probably 100 kilos of weight out of this car without even thinking about it.
Really?
You know, just silly things. Like if you look inside, you'll see they ran all the bottom half of the dash.
Oh, right,
Well,
yeah, full dashboard.
Yeah, nobody ever ran the full dashing period.
They just for glove boxing and race cars,
No, he didn't carry a workshop manual with, did he? So, you know, just silly things like that. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking Richard Asquith, who built this car, you know, good engineer. But you just sort of think, take that out, there's a lot of other things you could take off the car that aren't really necessary and lose, you know, 1,800 kilos. Well, 1,800 kilos is
That's a lot of weight.
It's a huge amount of weight to take out of a car.
To person.
And then obviously you take into account, like we've spoke on the rally suspension and you think, in theory, he should have been miles behind, absolutely miles behind. But when you watch him racing period, you see him come out of corners on, there's nobody tried harder. Absolutely 100%.
This car won't race with plastic windows.
No, but I'll tell you a story of the car. I mean, obviously Karl raced it in 88 and 89 in British touring cars, but he was only a driver, he didn't own the car.
Right.
Richard Asquith, who built it, owned the car. And Karl only did 88 and 89. They never competed in the 1990 championship. So Richard sold the car. And he sold it to a guy in Italy, out in Italy, to do touring car racing with it over there. But obviously, same in Italy as it did in the UK, the legislation changed at the end of 1990. So the car wasn't eligible to race in touring cars anymore because they changed to this, what we now know as the Super Tourers. So this car couldn't run, so the guy who bought it off Richard only did 2 or 3 races with it and then had no use for it. So he sold it to the guy whose name's on the window there, Murray Gianluigi. He bought it, I think it was 1995, and he's had it ever since. And Murray just did hill climbs with it.
All right.
That's all he did. So of course hill climbing, you want the car as light as you can get it. So obviously he's taken all the glass out of it apart from the screen and changed it for Perspex windows. Took all the door trims off because it, you know, it had all the original
door cards, weren't there?
Yeah, they were all on it when Karl had it. Well, he took all them off for lightness. Believe it or not, the car had electric windows.
Did it?
Yeah, because Karl, one of the first things he asked me, he says, "Is it still got electric windows?" I said, "Electric windows," and he started laughing. Did Karl? And it's got power steering as well. I says, "You big girl, power steering." Well, anyway, so that, you know, so it's had some minor changes, but nothing I can't, you know, put glass back in it. That's easy. And the beneficial thing to me was, we touched on the suspension. Well, the guy who bought it and raced it in Italy changed all the suspension to proper Group A touring car. So it's now on the centre locks, if you look. Because if you look at the period pictures, which I'll send you, it had RS200 Speedline wheels on it, the 4-stud, and then, because they didn't have a lot of money, you know, like race teams changed the diff in the back, don't they, for different tracks. Karl used to just put different size tyres on the back, bigger tyres. You can tell on some tracks, on the pictures, it's got Revolution RFXs on the back.
16-inch wheels?
With a massive, great big fat tyre, 17s they were.
17.
Rather than change the diff, they just put bigger tyres on. And luckily I got all the original wheels with it, so I've got the Speedlines, I've got the Revolutions, I've got the original suspension with it that came with it, so I've got all that stuff.
The original suspension, like the...
All the rally car stuff.
Have a look at it?
Yeah, I'll dig it out, yeah. So I've got that, which is, I'm never going to put it back on, because obviously the car will never be competitive with it on.
It stays with the car though, won't it?
Yeah, it's just, there it is, that's what it had. So if I ever do sell it in God knows how many years, I can say there is all the original stuff. Nobody'd ever put it back on.
No.
I mean, having said that, you maybe would, if I was never ever going to race it again, it'd be nice to sit it on the original Speedlines, because it looks mint with them wheels on.
You're going to restore it? I was going to ask if you're going to put the old Valley suspension on.
No, because then obviously it'll never be a competitive car, because and my plan with it is to tidy it up a little bit, because it looks a bit scruffy around edges, but really for a 30-odd-year-old race car, it's unbelievably original. It's all its original panels on it.
Is it really?
Because Karl never bumped it, he never had an accident in it. So it's got all its original panels on. All the gaps are perfect, look, you know, and where do you find a race car with perfect door gaps and bonnet gaps? And so I'm just gonna, you know what I'm like, I say I'm not gonna restore it. I'm gonna tidy it up so it looks nice, put all the original livery back on it, paint all the arches and the bumpers and that white like they should be. So without going mad on it, it's gonna look nice, but the plan is I want to see Karl drive it again. I want him to drive it.
So you'll have it done for next year?
Well, it hasn't been started for 5 years, so I need to get it running first, put fresh fuel in it, you know, change timing belt and get it up and running and make sure engine, gearbox and diffs are all right, because it's all down to budgets, isn't it? You know, I can't afford to completely freshen up everything. Obviously we'll go through all the bearings, the brakes, but that's time consuming, not a great expense. If you want an engine rebuild, a gearbox rebuild, a diff rebuild, you're talking huge amounts of money. So hopefully it's good enough that we can just mechanically refresh it and tidy it up a little bit and go and have a bit of fun, maybe a couple of years, do Silverstone Classic, Alton Park Gold Cup, just a couple of races a year. Not for me really, I just like to see Karl back in his old car, you know.
Can I have a sit in it?
Yeah, of course you can. It's still got the original seat in it.
Looks thin, doesn't it? And like,
yeah, it's tiny, but Karl's only a little fella.
Is he?
Well, more all racing drivers are, aren't they? They're not big
fat things like us.
things like me, yeah. Well, I didn't want to say you, but as soon as you said it. But what's nice is all the gauges inside are original. It's even got the original gear knob on it that he had in period. Just silly things like that are nice, I think. It's even got a sticker there, look, from 1989 touring cars. Original Bosch Motronic ECU still in it.
Are you leaving that on?
As long as it performs okay. But all the cages original. Just wants the right good clean and yeah,
bit of a spruce up.
Yeah, still got his name on dash there.
What's even got a key?
I know.
They don't come with keys normally, do they?
No. That's what I say, this car was built on a really, really, really tight budget. I'll see if service history's in here. No. I'll tell you what it did come with though, that I was always under the impression that these cars never come with what they call a logbook.
Right.
And I'd never ever seen a logbook for a British touring car before. This has its original logbook. So every race it went into, you got the logbook and the scrutineer would stamp the book and sign it. And I've got it's all stamped for every race it did, which is really, really nice to find.
So this was never a road car converted, this one, was it?
No, this was built on a brand new shell. Like they all are, they're all built on brand new shells.
Well, can we have a look under the bonnet?
Yeah. Well, this is, you'll see a lot of basic stuff on this when we lift it.
Like road car type basic stuff.
Yeah,
the covers on the
cover
timing
on it,
belt.
yeah, which is original. You know, we were saying about weight saving. It's got that metal bulkhead panel in the back, look, which I've never seen that in another touring car before. Power steering.
It looks quite cluttered under this compared to like the Eggenberger cars, doesn't
It's
it?
because all that's boxed in, is it's normally all open, isn't it?
Why is that over there?
I have no idea.
No?
I don't know why they've done that. Stop water getting in, I can only assume. I mean, obviously everything's heat wrapped, which makes it look a bit untidy, but
So-
that's how it is, you know, that's how it ran.
Still got the two
Belts, and
Two
like
belts.
that, they put the clutch cable right over the top. Well, the clutch cable should run down that side of each shield, underneath and round and underneath. It shouldn't be on top like that. But somebody's gone to a great, making it adjustable there, you see, so they've even welded a fitting onto it.
And the strut brace.
Yeah, so they can make it adjustable, but you
So
know,
you're
I'm not criticising it.
No, it's just the way it is, isn't it?
It's the way it was in period, you know, it is what it is.
So what's your plans with under the bonnet? Are you going to take the engine out or anything?
I think we'll end up taking it out.
Paint the engine bare?
I'd like to, we will eventually, because as I say, I'm going to just mainly concentrate on getting it so it'll run and do a race, so that I know it's mechanically safe and as reliable as we can get it. And then obviously when we do a couple of years with it, then my plan would be to strip it to a bare shell, dip it and really make it absolutely mint. Make it really back to perfect, you know, make it absolutely as it was when it was new.
So these are the original wheels of the car?
They're the ones that it ran in period.
With the four stud?
Yeah, they were silver and the rims were polished. And like everything, somebody's brush painted them white. So I'll get these restored back to mint. But yeah, they're the original speed lines. Some pictures you'll see with it all 4 of them on. And then, as I said, when you wanted to gear it up, you'll see pictures with them on.
They're nice wheels, them.
Yeah, very rare as well. RFX split rims. So again, when he wanted to gear it up, he would put them on the back with a lot bigger tyre on.
They would look nice on a road car.
Yeah, they would, yeah. And them speed lines are worth a fortune.
Are they?
They sell for about $3,000 a set.
Do they?
Yeah.
Are they magnesium?
The original RS500 wheels.
I remember seeing a set years ago, original RS200 wheels for 400 quid, 500
for
quid.
now.
Years ago though.
Yeah, genuine ones are split rims, you see.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, they're worth a lot of money of them.
17s?
17s, yeah. So I was very lucky, you see, to get the original wheels with the car because, again, I won't put them back on, but if I restore it, I might one day put it back on for suds just so it's original.
Well, they should just stay with the car, really, shouldn't
Exactly. So they'll always be with it. Suspension, I'll get that.
It's like if you had Pamela Anderson, you'd want that to come with it. Right, so these are the Valley hubs.
That's the original
Front.
rally car front uprights,
Uh-huh.
yeah. And they're the rear hubs, obviously for stud, and you can see where that one's been repaired.
Where
They
snapped.
just weren't strong enough for touring cars. And one race Karl actually didn't finish because one of his rear hubs broke. There's nothing wrong with them uprights. The issue you had with them is the way they're configured and the way they bolt together. You can't get the car to sit low.
Right.
And on a rally car, it wasn't important. You didn't need a rally car
Well,
to sit low because they were.
clearance.
In fact, you actually wanted them sat slightly higher. As with the touring cars, you wanted them as low as you could possibly get them. Well, these uprights and that didn't allow you to get the car to sit low. And that was one thing Karl always said to me years ago. That was his problem. They couldn't get the car low enough. And if you look at period shots of it on YouTube or pictures, you can see Karl's a lot higher than everybody else.
Really?
And that was a big problem. So I've told him now he's got no excuses, you know. Now it's got proper suspension and that on.
First place.
He's got no excuses. But, you know, it's just nice to have it with the car. If I ever did sell it or whatever, it just always helps to prove a car is the original car. Not that, you know, you can sort of tell. There's a lot of ways of telling, but there's always the doubters, isn't there? Will go, oh, that's not, and you can say, well, there's the suspension, there's the wheels, there's. It's just nice to have the originals.
Belongs with the car, man.
Exactly.
20 years time, someone could say, well, I want it back as it was.
Exactly as it was. Well, there you go. Everything's
There's the
there.
parts, there's the wheels.
So it's just nice to have it.
That's it, fellas. Thanks for watching, and thanks to Paul for letting us come down,
You're welcome.
dragging his stuff out of his storage. I'll leave some links to Paul's social media below. He's got 2 Facebook pages, the RS500 Owners Club and Paul Linford Racing.
That's correct, yeah.
I'll leave my Instagram below as well, fellas. And if you want to have a look around Paul's workshops, I'll leave a link to a video below where we'll go around, talk about all the different cars. But thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.